Holy shit.
Yeah. Like, let's get through this so we can do New Rock Stars.
Uh-huh.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Season 1, Episode 4. The whole world is watching. Then, Carly blows up the GRC lab. Zemo helps the boys track down the serum. Sharon is still a badass. Flag Smashers stole the 20 serum doses. Bucky meets up with Ayo looking for Zemo. Now, so we're in Wakanda. It's 6 years ago, and Bucky is training with Ayo, but it turns out she's detriggering him. Confirms he's free. He cries, "You're free," and that was some really spectacular acting.
Yeah.
Like,
she starts reciting the words that trigger him, and he's like, "It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work." And she gets through it, and he just starts crying.
Yeah.
And she's
like the tears coming.
Free.
And I love the juxtaposition and, like, strong female character. She's very stoic, and he's actually crying. Phenomenal acting, I thought. Like, I really felt that.
Sure.
So, now, again, she asks...
Because that was 6 years ago.
Yeah. So she asks how he could free Zemo. She's less than pleased. Bucky tells her he's a means to an end. She gives him 8 hours and says they're coming for him.
And then we drink.
So the boys are in a hotel. That's where they were walking into. We're like, they're walking somewhere. It was a hotel.
Yeah.
Sam is pissed that Zemo killed Nagel.
Right.
Meanwhile, we've got the Flag Smashers making demands. Zemo wants to strike Carly down. Sam identifies with her.
Right, so the Flag Smashers, I guess, put out like a terrorist kind of a thing where they're like, if such and such doesn't happen, we'll keep blowing things up.
Zemo calls her a supremacist, like the Nazis are the Avengers.
Yeah, interesting comparison.
Zemo says the serum corrupts. Sam said Steve was never corrupted by it. Zemo comes back with, there has never been another Steve Rogers, has there?
Kind of shoots a glance at Sam when he says it, and Sam's kind of...
But then you got Bucky. I mean...
Yeah.
And... No, Bucky isn't...
Bucky is an argument for both sides.
Yeah, it can be corrupted, but it can also be... When he started off, like, he was a good guy. He was very loyal to his friend, and he recognized more than anyone, more than Sam, obviously having been his oldest friend, that Steve was more worthy of being able to take the super soldier serum than anybody.
Yeah.
When you think back to Bucky in First Avengers, or the First Avenger, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
But even compared to Steve, like, he wasn't quite there.
And it may have just been just a touch of the egoism that comes with being a bit more physically adept.
Mm-hmm.
There's a natural thing that happens when you're more physically powerful than other people. So there's a really interesting comparison to be made between Bucky and John, I think.
Yes. I see, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, John was a good guy when we first met him. Did everything right. I mean, Hoskins even said, you make all the right decisions in the heat of the moment. Like, good soldier, good patriot, good person. And then he was given power, but not physical power initially.
And that pisses him off.
But also being given the shield gives him power, not in a physical way, and not physically the use of the shield, but he commands a certain respect. And being given that, it's a different kind of power, but it can also be corruptive, as power always can.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bucky, as you pointed out, wasn't necessarily as good a guy as Steve, but he checked all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
He was corrupted by brainwashing.
Right.
And it's almost in favor of Zemo's argument that you can't have people be that powerful, straight up, just because they can be turned, they can be corrupted. Things can happen. You just don't want a person that powerful, straight up. Might have a point. But the way that John and Bucky were corrupted were two different ways, and Steve was just, he's some kind of exception.
Because he always wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah.
He didn't have Walker's physical prowess. He didn't take the serum to glorify himself, to make himself more powerful. He took it so that he could
do what he always wanted to do.
Help make a difference.
Yeah.
He did it so he could make the world a better place.
Which, again, that can be the initial intention for many, many people. But once he got the power, he stayed that same person somehow.
Yeah. Because he had his priorities in the right place.
He had a well-formed conscience, and yeah, his intentions never changed. His physical abilities did, but it didn't alter who he was.
Even his endgame version, if you will.
The one that was allowed to use swear words.
Yeah,
like, that
and
was
he
his
was
big corruption.
He comes across himself. Oh, shit. You know, it wasn't corruption, it was just time.
Yeah, more so.
You know, the version of Captain America we get in Avengers is, you know, that still bright-eyed, bushy-tailed,
the original Avengers, you're saying?
Yeah. Not the first Avenger, but the Avengers.
Yeah.
You know, he's still optimistic about the world. At Endgame, Rogers is like, dude, I've seen shit.
Yeah.
Let's just calm down a little bit and justify the means. Early Steve would never have lied. He never would have said Hail Hydra.
Yeah, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have been able to bring himself to do it.
And Endgame Rogers is like, man, after Thanos,
just got to get it done.
Mm-hmm. And there's something to be said for that.
A bit.
You know, he never. I mean, the lying a little bit and the swearing. That's the result of seeing war.
Right.
Like, losing people.
I think there's also an argument to be said that is saying Hail Hydra really lying? Not that he actually hails Hydra, but he's not proclaiming any. I guess he's proclaiming alliance. So I guess that's where the lie is.
Yeah. But the ends justify the means, which is a big theme here.
Well, we're not here to justify Endgame Rogers.
No, even though he's, like, the best.
He's the best Rogers, but...
So. Anyway. So the boys look for clues at the compound where Danya died. Lots of kids, lots of flag smasher imagery. This compound was promised help from the GRC and received nothing. They don't trust Sam because Sam came across a teacher who actually, talked to him. He's like, I know who you are.
Yeah.
We don't trust you. And you could just see Sam like, I got turned on at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
People don't trust me. What the hell am I even do? Like, you could, and it started off, I was saying that it started off as a joke, but at the same time, it's like, no, this is seriously calling into question everything. I mean, even the bank loan denial, it's like, I'm trying. I'm putting my neck out on the line all the time. I watched my friends and mentors die.
Everything's a struggle. He struggles to get Sharon's trust, struggles to get Bucky's trust.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, and
he hasn't done anything wrong.
He's done nothing wrong. He hasn't chosen a wrong side. He empathizes with these people because America is as fucked up as,
and
look at the ghettos. And I'm not saying it's Republicans or Democrats, fault or whatever. It's just, I'm not even saying it's a systemic racism.
No.
It's just people not actually stepping up. They talk, but they don't do anything to help.
Right.
They try to throw money at a problem, but it's more than that. It's more than just, signing a check.
Yeah.
At any rate.
To the compound, Sam isn't a black man. He represents the governmental body that's failed them.
Well, and he was Captain America's partner. They were simpatico. So now that there's this new Captain America, which
he's associated,
some people don't trust, he's associated with him.
Yeah.
So
all these things outside his control.
Yeah. So at the end of this scene in the hotel, sorry, yeah, I jumped back. Zemo offered Sam and Bucky Turkish delight.
Yeah.
And he's walking around with this coat with the white fur collar. And I'm like, Narnia vibes. White Witch. Played by Tilda Swinton, by the way. The ancient one.
Right, yeah.
That's very pointed, and I'm not sure if they're really gonna go anywhere with that, but that when you know.
Right.
Like,
that was some kind of reference that I'm not sure what they're doing.
Yeah, so you got Sam and Bucky talking to people, trying to talk to people to get information on Danielle, where's her funeral going to be, blah, blah, blah.
Nobody trusts them.
But Zemo sits down, offers Turkish delight to the kids to earn their trust.
Not at all creepy middle-aged guy behavior at all.
No.
Your kids have some candy.
But I think there's also some truth to when he said it was my son's favorite, because that was his whole motivation for Civil War.
Right.
He lost his family. He lost his son.
he actually probably does know where these people are coming from, and also his face doesn't inspire anything. You know, they don't
know who he is.
They don't know who he is.
So he gets to the location of Donya's funeral, and he tells the kids not to trust Sam and Bucky. So we come back to another conversation with them. Also, in this hotel, the stained glass window.
Oh, yeah.
Like, kind of Star of David stars, but they're, like, red and white and blue. And that was very interesting set design.
Behind Sam, they're, like, red, white, and blue. Behind Bucky, they were, like...
red and white.
Was it red and white? I thought it was blue and white. The set designers and production team, major kudos, by the way.
There's something there. There's some kind of symbolism. Something. It's like WandaVision with the hexagon signals, symbols and stuff. Like,
yeah, they're saying something.
But anyway, so back at the hotel, they're talking. Sam gets the point of the Flag Smashers. The world was coming together during the blip, which Sam didn't know that because he was blipped. But
right.
Immigrants were given places and jobs. They argue whether the ends justify the means.
Theme much? But yeah, like, during the blip, you know, there are a lot of job vacancies, and so immigrants were being taken in, being given places to live, given real jobs. It makes sense. And then, you know,
And then Hulk snaps everyone back into existence, which is great for some.
Sure. But I can definitely see there are a lot of displaced jobs now, and people going,
and you don't belong here. Here, go to this camp.
Right.
And that, I mean, you want to give the people who came back their shot at going back to their lives, but then that puts other people at a disadvantage, and it's messy, and it's...
Yeah. There's no real good way to do it that I could come up with.
No.
But I would have to say that the people who returned would probably need to be the ones who are put into some kind of... Not a camp, because camp has a real bad connotation. But they should be the ones that are left going... How do we return to our lives? Not the ones that spent 5 years in the blip establishing something.
Yeah.
And it seems like the show is inferring that the ones that came back from the blip were just, like, given their lives back. Which seems a bit ridiculous, but it seems like that's what the show is saying happened. And if that's the case, it's fucked up. And they haven't even gotten into, like, fucked up marriages, which has gotta be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, your spouse gets blipped, you find someone else. I mean, that's that scene in, like, the 5 years later, the first scene, you know, where do we go now that everyone's gone?
Yeah.
You got
people,
the director talking, you know, one of the Russo brothers talking about, you know, going on a date, and
right,
you know, we cried and whatever, and I'm gonna see him again.
Yeah. So after Hulk snapped everyone back, what's that guy up to? Is he bad? Presumably he had a spouse or at least a significant other, like...
So...
There's a reason why none of this could ever happen.
And Thanos' last words reverberating in my head, I am inevitable. It turns into another search for the Infinity Stones to snap everyone back out.
Yeah.
That'd be a little redundant, though. From a storytelling perspective.
Well, sure.
At any rate.
Anyway. So
Bucky almost snaps on Zemo.
Snap. Sorry.
Sam calls Sharon. She's still helping them. Like, legitimately helping them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, we didn't get any subterfuge vibes from this episode.
No. No, because she... And we'll get there, but she legit helps them. Zemo reveals the funeral is this afternoon, but not the location.
Yeah, it turns out he... And Sam even complains that Zemo is basically holding them hostage with this information that only he has. Because, again, he told the kids not to trust Sam and Bucky.
Right. So cut to Carly. She's in a cemetery. She retrieved a bag from a grave. It's the serum. There's another heart-to-heart with another goon. I never caught his name. Goon calls Carly another Captain America. So that's what we were talking about before, where... Oh, no, we hadn't recorded this, but he said that when he was younger, he looked up to Captain America, like Steve Rogers, and he tells Carly that he sees her as the new captain, like... It's just, it's so interesting when you have, like, this almost perfect kind of human being, like as perfect as a human being can be in Steve Rogers. But he would never do what Carly is doing.
Right.
You know?
He becomes an icon. He becomes somebody that you're the next... People are going to say, you're the next Steve Rogers. And no, they even say it later on. Nobody's Steve Rogers, but Steve Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
So all the comparisons fall flat, but, you know, everybody's the hero of their own story. So they all... People from a lot of different walks of life want to be Steve Rogers, but from their own perspective.
Right. Thinking they can do it better. They can't, though.
No, and again, they're all coming at it from a different point of view that ends up making the comparison just fundamentally wrong.
Yeah. And she even says, today's don't have the luxury of keeping their hands clean.
Today's heroes.
Heroes don't have the luxury of keeping their hands clean. So then, yeah, the bag contains the serum. And then we get Captain Douchey.
Woo!
Sam argues he wants to talk to Carly alone. Captain guys say she's beyond conversation, but Hoskins sticks up for Sam's plan, and John relents. Zemo's little girl, space friend,
Right.
leads the way to Danya's funeral. I'm sitting here saying, ambush!
Mm-hmm.
But no, it didn't go in that direction, and that's actually quite refreshing.
Yeah. The girl trusted Sam. Or
Yeah.
trusted Zemo, I guess.
Yeah. So, the funeral, Carly is giving a eulogy, and I want to point out, like, she's talking about, like, she had no one, no parents, no siblings, whatever. It's not clear. She must not have had anyone prior to the blip.
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise, with people back, she would be more focused on finding her people than...
Right. She wouldn't be so focused on returning things the way they were. If she had family that she loved come back from the blip, she wouldn't be so mad about it. The Flag Smashers are all about returning things the way they were.
So we're talking about a bunch of people who didn't have anybody before the blip.
Yeah, and now they're probably people they were connected with. Probably people that were like, you don't have anyone anymore. I know what that's like. I didn't have anyone either. You know, let's help each other. They probably had a bunch of people like that, and then there needs to be a name for everyone coming back. And there isn't one that's bothering me. But the return happens, and then they see everyone go back to the way it was. And they're all like, well, I still don't have anyone. I thought I had you, but now you're going back to your family that you have again now.
But you can't really blame him for that.
You can't really blame him for it, but you can also... I'm not sympathizing with flag smashers, but you can see where it hurts. You're like... We were helping each other. We were building this back.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've just been randomly granted everything you've been wishing for 5 years. And I'm sitting here going, oh, I'm happy for you. I'll just go back to my hole now.
Yeah.
It
the unintended fallout.
Jealousy, if
From-
nothing else.
Yeah.
Look at Monica. She comes back from being snapped, and she's actually lost people. There's so many implications and so many things
Like the
that
fact
can
that
be taken
her
from the blip.
that her mom was getting better, and then she comes back.
No, she died while you were gone.
Yeah, and she couldn't even say goodbye.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Both the shows have that. Black female, black male. Monica. I know how Wanda is feeling. Sam. I know how Carly is feeling.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Huh. Yeah.
Theme that they've got with these two shows.
And I'm going to keep coming back to WandaVision as far as comparisons go, because I still can't shake the feeling of them being more closely connected than they've revealed yet.
Well, and at the end of Endgame, at the funeral scene, Wanda was standing next to Sam and Bucky.
That she was.
And then she had a moment with Clint. And I'm not sure if Hawkeye is a show or a movie. I don't...
Yeah, I don't know either.
But...
I think it's a show, but...
But yeah, interesting. So, she's giving the eulogy, but she sees Sam and gets worried. She drops the one world, one people line. There's a number of people doing the Orthodox style sign of the cross.
Mm-hmm.
I also noted that during this, they had handcuffed Zemo, and then there was Walker, Hoskins, and Bucky. Bucky's kind of playing bouncer a bit, because Walker's we gotta go in there, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And Bucky's it hasn't been 10 minutes, because Walker's I'm gonna give you 10 minutes.
Yeah, Sam wants to meet with Carly, just him, and...
Because he threw back to his Civil War. No, I'm sorry, Winter Soldier. When we first met him, he was working with veterans. He's I have experience with this. I know how to handle this.
That's right. Isn't that how Steve Rogers was introduced to that concept? That's what Sam did. And then that's what Steve ended up doing? Is that accurate?
I don't know that there's confirmation, actual confirmation of it. I'm sure there is, but yeah, that checks out. At any rate, so John is getting physically uncomfortable waiting, he's, Bucky's just being stoic as ever.
Looking like a badass, like you do.
So Sam comes to talk to Carly, says he came alone. Yes and no.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a stretch. I
walked into this room alone?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you always say, right?
Yeah.
Came alone, but...
So they're having a conversation. It seems to be going well. He tells her, it's not a better place if you're killing people, it's just different. John tried to go in. He mocks Bucky for having serum, says that Sam needs backup.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. He was like, it must be so easy for you, right? With that serum coursing through your veins to...
Yeah, and Bucky's just like...
I don't care what you're saying. You're not going in.
Yeah. So during the conversation, Sam tells Carly that, I know this guy, he knows a lot about the super serum. He's calling you a supremacist. And she's shocked at this. She's not sorry for killing people because she's like, she starts saying stuff that supremacists say, and she catches herself and she's like, I didn't mean to sound like that. You tricked me into saying it. He's like, no, look, I agree with your fight, but not the way you're fighting it, which I thought was a very great and powerful line. Could be directed to the BLM movement.
Mm-hmm.
Because, or at least the extremists who will turn around and level people's livelihoods to the ground, people who had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I see where Sam's coming from. I feel for Sam, for Sam's point of view, where, yeah, some of the stuff is really fucked up, and it's not right, and I agree with that. I just don't agree with the way that it's being handled.
Yeah.
On either side.
Which is just so common. You affiliate yourself with a side, be like, yeah, they have a point, and then they do something completely fucked up, and you're just like, well, now
like
I'm gonna
storm the Capitol.
And now you're like, well, now I'm labeled as one of them.
Yeah. This show is a lot more political than I thought it would be. But in all honesty, I really feel like they're handling it in a very measured, good way, because I can see all sides.
Which is funny because I expect it to be actually more political than it has been, because a lot of the news outlets were like, Falcon the Winter Soldier immediately dives into racial tension. I was like, but the bank scene? Okay, I guess, if you want to latch onto that. And, like...
But it's real.
Kind of being hailed as, like, this woke beacon. And I'm like, no. It's actually investigating both sides and...
All sides.
Yeah, it's really navigating it pretty well and giving reason to all sides. But of course, anything that's good, both sides want to grab it. It's like the Steve Rogers thing. It's that icon thing, right? Both sides want to take it as their own and be like, yes, it's
Shield.
It's defending what I believe in. It's like, from your perspective, but really it's just good. And then all sides want to affiliate themselves with it.
It's the shield and the serum.
Yeah. It's just good, but mainstream media wants to call it good for
the wrong reasons. Yeah. So Sam and Carly are really connecting. Like, he's like, yeah, I know, blah, blah, blah. And then Captain Douchey walks in.
Captain Douchey dance. Woo! Captain Douchey dance.
Fucker.
I'm going to start doing the Captain Douchey dance whenever he appears and fucks things up.
I noted that because a fight ensues, and Zemo's gone.
That's becoming a theme.
Carly runs, Zemo fires on her.
Yeah, so Carly dips out, and Zemo comes out of nowhere and starts blasting away with a pistol.
Gets her.
Yeah, he hits her.
She loses the serum vials. It goes everywhere. Zemo starts smashing the serum vials. Then John comes in with the shield and KOs him before he breaks the last one, which then John grabs.
Pockets it.
So Carly's hit, but she's okay. This episode's goon says they can't operate with them on their heels. They need to be dealt with, including Sam. Or wait, or was that last episode's goon? One of the goons said that. I don't know.
It wasn't the goon that we talked about last episode.
Okay.
It was a different goon. Says what again?
They can't operate with them on their heels. They need to be dealt with, including Sam.
Right. So Flag Smasher Goon says we can't keep flag smashing with Winter Soldier and Sam and Captain
Zemo
Douchey and Zemo on our heels. They need to be dealt with. And Carly says, or no, and
well, then Power Broker sends a threatening text demanding the serum.
okay.
Carly wants to kill Captain Douchey.
Yep.
Cut back to the hotel. Zemo asks Sam if he would have taken the serum, and he says, hell no. Mm-hmm. Zemo notes the lack of hesitation.
Mm-hmm. Says it's commendable.
Zemo wants to end the Flag Smashers, can't allow super soldiers to exist. Then Captain Douchey walks in, demands Zemo, offers to fight Sam. Then the Wakandans show up.
Yeah, so Captain Douchey, has this little, dick measuring contest with Sam. And he's like, oh, you want to make it fair? And he, goes to put down the shield, and he's, getting ready to fist fight Sam. And it's just dude, stop.
Yeah.
And then, the Wakandans show up.
Fight ensues. Bucky stops Ayo from killing John. Zemo escapes in the melee. Ayo unlatches Bucky's arm, which... Then Sam was like, did you know they could do that?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, Ayo, basically punches his shoulder in, this sequence, and it just falls off.
And then he just looks at her like, oh, dude.
Bro! We were cool, man.
Captain Douchey, all up in his feelings that he lost to the Wakandans, who aren't super soldiers, and it's like, that race thing again.
Yeah, I guess there was a racial thing without it being a racial thing. I mean, it could have been a lot of things. It could have been a sexist thing. It could have been a racial thing.
At the end of the day, it was, they didn't have the super serum and they kicked my ass.
Yeah, I think it was just straight up John having his pride hurt by being beat up by somebody who didn't have the serum.
By the way, when one of the spears had latched the shield and she took it, I was like, oh, is this when Sam and...
Me too.
And Bucky get it? Nope. So,
Captain Douchey gets back.
So then we've got John and Hoskins talking. Hoskins said he'd take the serum. Hoskins, power just makes a person more themselves. He probably would have been a good candidate for it, but again, Hoskins is a black guy, so, given a different era.
Sure.
But by all accounts, Hoskins actually seemed like a good guy.
Yeah, we never got any reason to think otherwise. And that was a theme from First Avenger, was... I can't remember if it was the scientist that came up with the serum. Said it...
Zola?
I thought Zola was the German...
you're talking... Stanley Tucci's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name
but
right now.
But he's the one that said that it enhances who you already are.
Yeah.
So
which, if you're a douchebag...
It would make you more douchey. And if you're Steve Rogers... It just makes you more Steve Rogers. That was an actual thing that
exactly.
They had that conversation.
And then there was that in the Avengers, that argument with Steve and Tony. Steve was like, what are you without the suit? And Tony comes back with, everything special about you came from a bottle. But then in Endgame, we get confirmation that Rogers was worthy to wield Mjolnir.
Yes.
And he was always worthy. It wasn't just the serum. It was him.
I do have conflicting...
And Thor. I knew it!
Thor was so happy that Steve could lift the hammer.
Because he saw Steve kind of shift the hammer a little bit, and he was like...
Yeah.
And that was Age of Ultron, but yeah.
But when Steve dropped it, he was like...
But
no, he was legitimately happy that Captain America could lift it, which was cool. But
and I still think that Steve just was being Steve and being humble.
Oh, definitely. I think that's confirmation.
He would have been... He could have picked it up.
Yeah.
And he pretended he couldn't.
Yeah. I think that's actually canon confirmed. But going back to the whole serum enhances if you're good or bad and Hoskins' line about it. It's a good line, but there's that whole power corrupts. So there's definitely different schools of thought on it, and I'm somebody who is brought up to believe more so in the power corrupts concept.
Absolute power corrupts, but power corrupts absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's a nice ideology, but I think I do disagree with it. But,
yes.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, says John makes the right decisions in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, John was a decorated soldier.
3 medals of honor.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but at what cost? And then you get something that you're like, this guy has seen hell.
Right.
A little bit of sympathy, but it doesn't really go much farther than that. He's haunted by Afghanistan. He says, imagine the lives we could have saved that day if we had the serum.
That's what Hoskins says.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we jump to Sarah, Sam's sister, on the dock. She gets a phone call. There's this Sarah. Yes. This is Carly Morgenthau. And Sarah's like, okay, I know who you are. They have this conversation, and Carly tells Sarah, like, I met Sam, like, I want to like him, but I need confirmation, basically. Yeah. Sarah says, my world doesn't belong to America because America doesn't believe in me. Carly arranges a meeting with Sam through Sarah, but she also, in the same breath, threatens Sarah and her kids.
Yeah.
Which is just really fucked up. And it's like, if you want Sam as an ally, don't threaten his fucking family, you dipshit.
Yeah.
Mama Bear comes out right now.
Yeah. So, and then, Sam does end up meeting with Carly. And he's like,
I want you on my side.
And he's like, this is how we're going to do this? You threaten my family? He's like, I just wanted to confirm that you're for real. And it's like,
if you want him on your side, don't threaten his family.
Yeah. Your strategy is not good.
No.
You 12/42-year-old.
So anyway, Sam's talking to Sarah about all this, and he's like, go somewhere safe, use cash, blah, blah, blah. And Bucky's like, what's going on? Sam tells Bucky, and Bucky's just like, he goes Hulk. Carly claims she wouldn't have hurt Sarah, says she doesn't want to hurt him, and she asks him to join. So again, they're on the cusp of having some kind of a good conversation when Sam gets a call from Sharon, and Sharon tells Sam that Captain Douchey's on the move. So Sam, Bucky, and Carly all fight.
Yeah,
and then dip out. It's like, what, you didn't, like, Carly, you didn't just see that it was a, oh shit, he's coming, let's all go. Like, and then you just start fighting.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that it's a misstep for the show, or if it's just kind of showing her character
being immature and twitchy. I don't know. Like, he gets word that Captain America's on the move, I guess. Maybe.
And he's clearly not okay with that.
Right. So they go to stop him because they're like, I don't want to interrupt this conversation and disrupt this potential alliance. So Bucky jumps down to go run off, and like Carly leaps at him and blasts him into a wall, and it's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. So John breaks into somewhere. Let me see. Hoskins gets captured
by random flag smasher goons. Yeah.
I noted the Carly and Steve juxtaposition. One of the goons saying he used. Oh, okay. Yeah, we already talked about that. So Captain Douchey gets ambushed by a sympathetic man bun goon. Goon. John appears to have taken the serum that he pocketed.
Yeah, because he like bends a pipe.
Yeah, and the goon is like, oh shit. And Sam is there, like he sees
this.
He's
watching.
And, Captain Douchey runs past and he's like, what did you do?
Yeah.
The boys kick some ass. Hoskins escapes his bonds. That's awesome. Somebody says, what's with all the knives? Oh, Captain Douchey says that. Very creative fight scene. Sam uses his blasters as a weapon. Then you had another, Bucky grabbing something out of thin air, like, the knife, and he grabs it like he did with the shield and everything. And then Carly kills Hoskins. I don't know that it was intentional. She threw him and he hit the pillar and snapped his neck. I don't think she meant to kill him. I think she meant to just stop him.
Yeah.
But that super soldier serum really does a number.
Yeah, that it does.
John is unhappy. So he runs after the goon that Carly had been connecting with at the gravesite. The
teacher that they had talked to.
Oh, was that the teacher?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh. Because they got the serum from the gravesite of the goon's grandfather, I think. Yeah, it must have been because, fought in World War II, fought the Nazis, blah, blah, blah. So he's running away. Captain Douchebag catches up with him.
Captain Douchebag.
And murders him while the guy is screaming, "It wasn't me," in front of many camera phones.
Yeah.
And Sam and Bucky show up and they're just watching in complete and utter horror. They're just standing there like... And Carly's watching it too.
He kills him with the shield, of course.
And he lifts up the shield and the bottom half is just dripping with blood. Cut to credits.
Yeah. So, I'm wondering, just because we've seen trailers that show Sam and Bucky with the shield, and the name of this episode with the whole world watching, I think we might be seeing an end of John Walker. The government is going to want to clear this up real quick. This is supposed to be their iconic man, and now it's all over that he just straight up murdered a dude.
Saying, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me."
Yeah. And American society doesn't take well to guys being killed while pleading for their life. It turns out. So, yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't know if he's just going to be, I don't expect him to be written out.
No, they're not going to write him out.
But
this is his villain backstory.
It's his villain backstory, and I think he's got to be stripped of the Captain America title, right?
There is no fucking way the government's going to stand behind that.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that the guy that he killed was a flag smasher.
He was. But I don't even think he was... I don't think he was serumed or anything like that. He was just...
No, I think he was. He was running pretty fast.
Was he? Okay.
So, well, because on the other hand, they could be going into that whole, cops can do whatever they want juxtaposition, but...
Sure.
Anyway, I have to pee, I need a refill, and I want to see what New Rockstar says, and it's almost 3, so...
Good times.
Mm-hmm.